Hi, this is Tammy Dresen, and this is my final presentation for CIT230. All right, the difference between a static class variable and an instance variable. A static class variable will be the same across all instances of a class. For example, if I had a class named test, and I set one of the variables to be a static variable total with a value of 100, all of the instances of the test class will have the variable total with a value of 100. If I change the value of the variable total, it will change the value of all the instances of the test class. In contrast, an instance variable are variables for each object instance of the class. Each different object instance will have its own set of values for the instance variables. If in that same class test I had an instance variable of student total, then I could set the value for each of the different instances with a different amount. So I could set the first one as 30, and then the second instance I could set it as 50, and they would be unique. They would not change each other. How to reference a static function versus a non-static function. Okay, in this start existing game method, I have getSavedGame, which is a static variable or a static method, and it does not need an instance created in order to be able to be called. So I just have to put the class that it's in and then follow it by the call to the method. In contrast, here is a non-static variable, which means that I have to call a new instance, or I have to create a new instance of the SceneView class in order to call the display method. So first I create a new instance, and then I put the name of the instance and then call the display method. All right, let's talk about enums. An enum is a fixed length list with all the same data type inside. Once it's created, the items in the list cannot be changed, and the items are referenced by a keyword. So we used an enum for our list of actors. The list of actors does not change throughout the game, so an enum is a good choice for the actor list. An array is also a fixed length list of objects, and all of the objects must be the same data type. The difference between an array and an enum is that the items in the list can change. Each element is referenced by an index. We used an array for our player inventory. The length of the list of items in the inventory does not change, but the quantity in stock does change, so that's why we used an array. Now, an array list is different from an array because the length of the list can change. Objects can be added and taken away from the list. Also, the list can be made up of different types. We didn't actually use an array list in our program, but one place we might have used an array list would be the inventory. If new unique items could be added to the inventory, for instance, an Indian artifact, or say if you use the wagon wheel, it was completely removed from the inventory, then an array list would have been appropriate. All right, a for loop. To access the different places in the locations array, I used a for loop. Because it's a multi-dimensional array, I used two nested for loops, but I'm just going to talk about the inner for loop. So first, there is an increment counter, j, which is set at 0, and then as long as j is less than the number of columns, then this block of code is implemented. Now down here we have the locations array, and I have j as the column, as the second index, and then I have I as the first index, which is the outer row for loop. And that gets me the location that is set at this particular spot in my array. And then it goes and it increments again. And as long as j is still less than columns, it will go through the block of code again and access the next place in the array. Okay, how to throw, propagate, and catch a custom runtime error. So the first step in doing that is when you have a method where you have a place where an error might be thrown, you're going to throw a new exception. So here, if the inventory hasn't been set up and so it's null, then it will throw a new inventory control exception and an explanation of why the exception was thrown. Then the next step is for any subsequent methods in the calling tree, and for that one, you have to add a throws statement to propagate the exception up the tree. You can see it here, and then you can also see it here in the calc barter price. And then the final step is in the view where that method is actually called, then you need to add a try and catch. So first, it's going to try and call that method. And if there is an error, then an exception is thrown and that is caught by this catch statement, and then the catch is, or the error is handled gracefully by first displaying the error message and then calling the next scene so that it doesn't stop the program from working. All right, the difference, why to use a character stream instead of a byte stream. A byte stream reads binary data, and it can be used for binary data and for ASCII data. But since the default format for Java is Unicode, then a character stream is a better choice for text. So here I have printing out to an external file. So first I need to use a try with resources statement. This means that within the try statement, a new instance of the printWriter class is created. This makes it so the stream is automatically closed when the catch statement is reached. The printWriter class can print using a print line method or a print format method, and with the print format method, then it formats it and then it gives the information that needs to be printed. And then in this case, it has a for loop that goes through and grabs each location and uses a formatted print method to print the information for each one of those locations. All right, now I need to take you through the game. Okay, so it starts off with a message, a welcome message that explains the information about the game and asks for the name, and then gives a custom welcome message and the main menu. So I'm going to start a new game, and it's going to deliver me to my first destination, give me information about how much of the journey I've completed, and then also information about where I'm at. In our game, you have to do something in each location before you can move on to the next location. So you have the thing you need to do is the first option, and then you have these other 4 options that you can do if you would like to, but you don't have to. So let's go ahead and do that first option. And so we need to prepare for travel. And so I need to pick my companions. I'll do Jordan, Hannah, and James. We lost James along the way, but he was a big help while he was here. Okay, and then you can choose what occupation you want, as well as when you want to start traveling. And that has an effect on how much money you have and the height of the river and things like that. Okay, and then you can purchase inventory, and so we had a lot of different things in our inventory, but eventually it turned out that the only things that really matter are bullets and food. If you don't have enough food, you can't travel to the next location, and if you don't have enough bullets, you can't hunt. But the rest of the things we didn't end up implementing. Okay, so I have prepared for travel, and now I can go ahead and travel to my next location. And here is our map, and on the map you can print out or view the list of locations. And here's all our different locations and what type of scene it is and how many miles it is from the start. And then I'll go ahead and move to the next location. If I enter not the next location, then it's going to tell me that that's not okay, that I have to do it in order. So we'll go ahead and go to the next location. Yes, I want to go. And it delivers you to the next location, gives more information about how far you've gone and what you need to do at this location. So this is a river location, so I need to cross. And I can either hire a guide or choose not to hire a guide. If I hire one, I'll have a better chance of succeeding. I did not succeed crossing the river, so I lost 20% of my inventory. But I can go ahead and travel to the next location because I have completed that activity. So let's go to 1, 3. Oh, whoops, I need to say, yes, I want to move to the location. And then 1, 3. Yes, I want to go, and it's another river location. Let's go ahead and cross the river again, but hire a guide. Let's see if that helps us. So yes, I want to hire a guide for $50. And now I can go back and ford the river. And I still failed, darn it. Okay, so let's move to the next location, which is gonna be 1, 4. Nope, I need to move, and then 1, 4, and yes. Okay, and I am now at a fort location. At the fort locations, you can purchase items from your purchase items for your inventory. So I'm going to actually quit out of the gameplay and bypass to the game menu just to show you the different things that you can do. You can change the pace, which the faster you go, the more food it takes to get to the next location. But the faster you get there, the less days it takes. I can view my inventory or print it to an external file. I can hunt, and I have the choice of different animals. Each animal has a different difficulty, and so I may not be able to catch it. My hunt was unsuccessful trying to do a bison. Let's see if I can catch a wolf. Nope, still unsuccessful. Let's try a bear. Yay, I was able to catch a bear. And food was added to my inventory. If I want to go back and see my inventory, I now have 241 pounds in my inventory. I started out with 100 and I used some of it. So if you have a guide, you get more from your hunt than if you don't have a guide. I can talk to locals, and I can view or print out a list of information about those locals, or I can just talk to a local, and when I talk to a local, it tells me a little bit about the person and then gives me some information for the game. So let's go to the main menu and save the game. We're going to save it Tammy, and then I can exit the game, and yes, I want to quit the game. And then if I restart the game and I get the saved game and Tammy, then I'm back at the fort location, and if I go to travel the new location, you can see that I am partway through the game, and that worked. And then once I've gotten to all of the different locations and I get to the very end, I get to the winning scene and I get the "you win" sign. Well, I found this online from these two different places, but I thought that was kind of a fun reward for getting to the end of the game. So this was a hard class. This was a hard program to program, but I really enjoyed working with my group and I really learned a lot, and ultimately I did enjoy the class. So thank you for watching.